Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you guys for joining me here. And so I'm going to do my first 2022 NFL mock draft. That's right, guys. I'm going to be doing it for every single team just for the first round here. And so, yeah, I'll go through it each by each. And so this is my first time going through it. So definitely leave some feedback in terms of what you guys like and what you guys don't like. But yeah, definitely excited about this. So let's go ahead and get things on the way. So yeah, let's go ahead and select every team here. So we'll just go through the first round here. Yeah, definitely not going through 7 rounds today. And so, yeah, I'll stick with the default settings there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump to it. All right, so first on the board here, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so we know, once again, back-to-back years, first overall pick. So this is going to be very important here. Last year, obviously, they took Trevor Lawrence. They did jump back into the first. They selected Travis Etienne, but they were not aiming for him, actually. They were actually going to try to require another receiver there. And so, obviously, for the Jaguars there, back-to-back years there, you've disappointed. And so the fans, they want to see some W's here. So let's see who's going to be the first pick. Obviously, it's going to come down to 2 guys, honestly, for me. It's going to come down to, do you take Aiden Hutchinson or do you take Kayvon Thibodeaux here from Oregon? And so for me, it really comes down to your personal preference there. But for the Jaguars, I think that you go ahead and take Aiden here at the first pick of the draft. And so I feel like you take the best player on the board. And to me, that player is Aiden. But, I mean, hey, if he's 1A, then 1B is Kayvon. And if you're Detroit, I feel like, just given where they are, obviously, I know Jared Goff's not the long-term solution at quarterback, unlike Jacksonville, who, had their quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, obviously, last year. But Jared Goff, he's not the long-term answer. However, I feel like there's a lot of spots that you need to improve upon for the Detroit Lions if you're going to continue to move forward with this organization and then just build the core of it. So what better piece right here than to bring someone like Kayvon, who's the best player on the board right now currently. So we'll go ahead and draft him for the Detroit Lions there. All right, so next up is the Houston Texans. So it's Houston on the clock. This is where things start to get interesting here, and this is where a lot of teams are going to start to vary because, quite frankly, if you're the Houston Texans, you've got a lot of needs on the board right now across the board to help your team improve. Now, I will say this. Davis Mills, he came in and did a lot better than I gave him credit for last season in terms of just my expectations for him. But with that being said, I mean, Pro Football Focus gave him, I believe, a 58.3 in terms of his grade there. And quite frankly, Houston, they can use a lot of work across the board at different positions there. And so if you're Houston, though, you want to go ahead and draft the best player available. I mean, possibly even think about maybe trading down there. But if I'm Houston, I want to go ahead and, for me, it's really down to 2 players right now. And we're not thinking quarterback right now. I just feel like with all the needs that you have right now for the Houston Texans, you draft a young quarterback right now. He's going to come in. He's probably going to struggle, things of that sort. I prefer go ahead, get some pieces first to work with right now. Some guys that can come in here and be a 10, 15-year type of guy for the organization, hopefully, and let's see how that works. So for Houston, it's either going to be Evan Neal or it's going to be Kyle Hamilton. And so just to give a little background here, Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, 6'4", 220 pounds, safety that, has a skill set, according to Pro Football Focus, that you simply won't find, in every draft class. And so that's a guy that's special right there. His range and coverage skills, pretty great, especially considering his size and stuff. And so, obviously he did get injured and stuff, but, I mean, I'm not concerned about that injury right there. So if I'm Houston, I'm not concerned about that. And so I'm very intrigued with the possibility of taking Kyle Hamilton, though, in that secondary. But ultimately, you want to go ahead and you got a chance to get a guy like Evan Neal here. And so Evan Neal, Pro Football Focus ranked him number 5. He's number 3 here on this board here. But, hey, I mean, he started, at left guard as a freshman, moved to right tackle as a sophomore, finished his career at left tackle in 2021. He earned an 85.8 overall grade according to Pro Football Focus, 6'7", 350 pounds. We're talking about rare movement for his size. And so that's the guy that you want to build around offensively. And so for me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Evan Neal here if I'm the Houston Texans on that offensive line. I mean, again, I can understand why someone would go Kyle Hamilton as well, but that's the route I would go there if I was Houston Texans. All right, for the New York Jets, last year you went ahead and got your quarterback, and you're hoping that he is the quarterback of the future in Zach Wilson. And so now when it comes to some things that you definitely can use right now for the New York Jets here, And so just looking at the board right now, obviously a guy like, Kyle Hamilton, that's someone to consider. You've also got offensive tackle that can come in there and give Zach Wilson some time. Akeem Irano from North Carolina State. And so, just looking at what the Jets need and what's going to be the best decision for that organization. I believe that, and give me 1 second here, guys. So, for the New York Jets here, obviously cornerback is a position that I feel like they can certainly improve upon as well. Linebacker. So I think right now you take the best player on the board still, Kyle Hamilton there out of Notre Dame. And so I feel like he comes in there and he's going to give you something, especially you're looking at trying to match up against a team like think about Buffalo in the division. If Mac Jones takes another step, things like that, having a guy like Kyle Hamilton in that secondary, that's going to feel real good there if you're the New York Jets. And so I believe this is a good choice here, but I could not blame them if they opt to go in a different direction. But that's the choice that I would go. All right, now for the Giants. Now, the first thing that came to mind for me for the New York Giants is that offensive line. I mean, when you've got a scenario where you've got a guy like obviously Saquon Barkley in the backfield, you also obviously Daniel Jones as well. And so I know that they do need some, interior for the offensive line. They also can use, a linebacker, some edge rushers, things of that sort, And I mean, the interior of the offensive line ranked dead last as a unit in terms of pass blocking grade. And so, and the linebacking core was third lowest. So that's obviously something that we're going to have to work on right there. And so I think that looking at how the board matches up right now, let's see. If I'm the Giants, I probably would consider possibly going down, honestly, from this one right here. But you might can bring in a guy like Charles Cross. Now, Charles Cross, he made a massive leap in year 3 out of Mississippi State. He went from just 44 pressures allowed his first year as a starter to 16 pressures allowed on 719 passing snaps. So that's a route you can go as well. And I think that's the route that I'm going to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go offensive tackle. We have decided I'm going to go offensive tackle here. But obviously, if you're going to go offensive tackle, you can't pass on the kid from North Carolina State there, Akeem Iwanu. And so it's just a matter of, your preference, I guess, for the offensive tackle. But I'm going to go ahead and select him. All right, so there we went ahead. We got us an offensive lineman here. Feel a little bit better about that offensive line already. We'll be picking again not too long from now. So I like that decision if I'm the Giants. All right, next up, the Carolina Panthers here on the clock. So Carolina. Obviously, we know that they made it that quarterback is a position that they certainly can use an upgrade for sure. I feel like that's what's really holding this team back there. I mean, we also know Christian McCaffrey, keeping him healthy, that's going to be important as well. And so for the Carolina Panthers, though, some of their needs, I mentioned quarterback. Offensive line as well. Offensive line is certainly something that's important for this team right here, and they can use another linebacker. But I feel like the offensive side of the ball is just something that they really got to focus on here. And so looking at the board right now, it's interesting with Kenny Pickett. It depends on how you feel about these quarterbacks. You can go him, you can go Matt Carroll out of Mississippi. It just depends on how you feel about these quarterbacks here. But if I'm Carolina, it's really tough right now because you really want to secure that quarterback spot right there. But I feel like if you're going to do it, if you're in your Carolina, you might want to try to see if you can find another veteran to just come in there. But quarterback is obviously a massive need there. But I think looking at the board right now, I think that now is a good time to take Charles Cross there. So go ahead and take him on that offensive line, see if we can improve that offensive line there. Now, I know that Sam Darnold being back there at quarterback again, that's not what you want right there. I mean, him or Cam Newton, it's just those two did not pan out there. But offensive line is certainly a position of need. And so we're going to pass on Kenny Pickett here. I don't feel like he will come in there to Carolina and necessarily make them a playoff team unless you fix that offensive line anyway. So I'll go ahead and take Charles Cross there. All right, so here we go. Back for the Giants here. So for the Giants here, I'm thinking that we're going to go ahead and possibly double dip when it comes to this offensive line. That's right. And so we're going to go ahead and take inside offensive lineman Tyler Lunenbell from Iowa here. So make that selection. And so, yeah. And so now with these two picks right here, the offensive line is feeling so much better right now if you're the Giants. That helps a guy like Saquon Barkley. That helps a guy like Daniel Jones. That really solidified his strength right there. Later on, we can go ahead and attack the need at linebacker and stuff, just looking at the board right now. Yeah, we don't want to reach too far here, not when we can get some quality offensive linemen here and really change that. So as you can see, according to my board, 3 linemen in a row going off the board there. Of course, Carolina, I believe that they'll probably try to acquire a quarterback via free agency, but we'll see how things play out there. And so now Atlanta's on the board, guys. So the Atlanta Falcons here, what do we do? Obviously, we know that the Falcons, I feel like it comes down to honestly 2 guys right now that I'm strongly considering here. I know they can use a quarterback in the future, but I don't think this is the year that they address that. Matt Ryan can hold it down for another year. Derek Stingley Jr. This is someone that, I feel like a place right now, this would probably be a good fit right here for the Atlanta Falcons to take that route. In terms of what he can bring, according to Pro Football Focus, this is the 4th best player on their board, and he is a scheme-driven, scheme-diverse corner. He possesses, class best pure man coverage skills in the draft, highest graded cornerback in the country as a true freshman in 2019, but he's has played 983 snaps in 2 years since. So that's something to consider as well. But if you're the Atlanta Falcons here, this guy comes with star potential. And that's what you're looking for right now if you're the Falcons. Someone that can come in there and really be that impact player for the defense. And so I believe that this would probably be the route that the Atlanta Falcons will end up taking, even though they have some other needs inside, offensive lineman, receiver. Now, receiver is another route they could go. So they could go Garrett Wilson here at number 8. That's going to be the debate right there, is that they could. And not to mention the team's guard and center was ranked 29th and 32nd, respectively, according to Pro Football Focus, in their pass blocking grade. And so, but yeah, I feel like a guy like him, that's someone that's going to really be attractive to the Falcons there. So I'll go ahead or do I take Garrett Wilson here? You know what? I think on a second thought here, I'm going to go ahead and change my mind here. Instead of Derek Stingley, I think they'll go ahead and take a guy like Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. Obviously, we know those Falcons, they want to have a guy that can go down there and make big plays. And so Garrett Wilson, what can't he do? A guy like Garrett Wilson can come in here and obviously be another weapon there for Matt Ryan. And so you obviously, when it comes to the wide receiver position there, ever since trading away Julio Jones, you can use someone that can come in and fill that void there. And so just his ability to generate separation, that's going to be best in the class right there. And so, yeah, I mentioned star power right there for Atlanta. And so he comes in there, hooks up with Matt Ryan there. I feel like that could be a direction that they could go. So Garrett Wilson it is to the Atlanta Falcons. All right, so next on the board here is the Denver Broncos. So when looking at the Denver Broncos, really quickly to look at some of their team needs: quarterback, cornerback, edge, and linebacker. So we do have cornerback there. And so, obviously that's the top priority, I feel like, is quarterback for the Denver Broncos this offseason. After Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock both played, as we thought they would in 2021. So do you try to roll it back with them, or is there another quarterback that you can probably bring in there? I don't know. Do you even trust your drafting? Because you drafted Drew Lock. That didn't work out. And Bridgewater, he's kind of limited as a passer there in terms of just that potential and that ceiling. But obviously, if you're the Broncos, there is a man by the name of Aaron Rodgers that may come into play, guys, as well. So if you believe that that's a possibility there, then it would certainly make sense to see what you can do in terms of just some of the other needs there. So obviously, you traded away a guy like Von Miller. And so for me, you may be thinking possibly about going edge here if you're the Broncos. Of course, cornerback is certainly something as well that you could go, pair those corners up, those young corners down there in Denver. But I think you go ahead and potentially look at going edge here. That may be a direction to go. I'm still thinking about it right now. But, yeah, if I'm the Broncos – yeah, you could go quarterback here, but yeah, let's go ahead and go edge right here. All right, so there we go. So we went ahead and went edge there. Even if you don't get Aaron Rodgers, you currently already got 2 quarterbacks right there. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just like last year, they passed on Justin Fields or whomever. So I think that they could potentially pass on another quarterback as well. All right, For the Jets now, so the Jets are on the clock. So let's take a look at their needs once again. All right, so New York Jets. Okay, so for the Jets, yeah. So obviously, cornerback, just looking at last time we went safety. So what if we were to double dip if we're the Jets here? You already got your safety there. And so what if we went ahead and added a cornerback like Derek Stingley Jr. here to the team as well? And so now if you're the Jets, you're feeling a hell of a lot better about that secondary. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, Derek Stingley Jr. there. And so wow, I mean, that would be a nice draft for that secondary there of the Jets and give them some pieces to work with in the future long term there for the Jets as you try to build a defense there to counter what a team like the Buffalo Bills bring to the AFC East, and not to mention some of the top teams and young quarterbacks in the NFL. You got to have a way to stop them. So I believe this is a great chance for them to address those needs right there. All right, so Washington Commanders now. So let's see with Washington's pick, what direction do I think that they're going to go? Now, obviously, Tyler Heinicke, to me, he is not the future of this team. Will they be the first team to draft the quarterback there? I mean, Heinicke, he turned in a 58.9 passer rating. Who knows what's going to happen with Fitzpatrick? I mean, will he retire? A lot of questions there. So do they go quarterback here, or will they go ahead and go elsewhere? And so quarterback's obviously a need right here. They could go linebacker, but I think that this team's going to be the first one to take a quarterback off the board. And so it's just a matter of which quarterback will they end up selecting here. Now, if you believe in the potential of a guy like Malik Willis, that's a route you could go. Desmond Ryder, this is a guy that's climbing a lot of boards and stuff. Kenny Pickett, do you believe in Kenny? I mean, Matt Carroll, that's another direction you could go. And so just to give a little comparison about these guys real quick before I decide on who to end up selecting. And so let's see. All right, so let's start with Desmond Ryder out of Cincinnati. You have a 4-year starter there. And the Bearcats offense, one of the most experienced passers in this class, saw consistent growth from him each and every year. And his career high 90.7 grade at Pro Football Focus gave him back in 2021 there. So that's a guy that you can have a lot of confidence in that comes in with some experience. I do like that as well. And so, yeah, obviously they have him ranked a little bit higher than he's rated here on this mock draft simulator. So that's one route that we could very well end up going. Then there's also Matt Carroll out of, Ole Miss. Now, they say he lost his 2 weapons from 2020, but didn't see his game slip this fall. And so that would be huge right there. He also protected the ball a lot better, recording only 10 turnover-worthy plays all season. And then there's Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett for Pittsburgh, he took an unbelievable step forward in performance in the fall, according to Pro Football Focus. He improved from a 69.8 overall in 2020 to 92.3 this season. They say there are still some concerns about his game. One big one is he has an average. He's averaged a ridiculously high 3.19 seconds to throw the ball in 2021. And so that is the thing right there for Kenny. So I feel like from what I'm seeing there, I do like the fact, because personally I do like Matt Carroll at quarterback. I do like him. But Desmond Ryder's a guy that's climbing up boards, guys. He's climbing up boards here. But I'm going to go ahead and go at Matt Carroll here from Ole Miss. I'm going to go ahead and make that the selection. So we'll draft him for the Washington football team. So there, they get a quarterback, first quarterback off the board there. Again, I mean, Broncos very well could go quarterback here as well. They certainly can use one, but I mean, who knows? Maybe they get Aaron Rodgers or something like that. We will see. And all right, so the Vikings are now on the clock, guys. So the Vikings now, they're going to have the Rams offensive coordinator coming in to be their head coach. So Minnesota, what direction will the Vikings take here? So let's see what the Minnesota Vikings, first of all, can use. All right, so cornerback, interior of the offensive line, edge, and they put quarterback as well as another need there. So Let's see. For them, I don't see them taking a quarterback in the first round this year. I just don't see it. But they could go edge here out of Michigan. So I'm going to go ahead and go there for the Minnesota Vikings. Go edge. Now for the Cleveland Browns. All right, let's see. So for the Cleveland Browns, what are some needs that they have? All right, so Cleveland, they have listed receiver, defensive lineman, and an edge. And so, yeah, now I would also throw in quarterback as well. But, I don't see them drafting the quarterback. They already still dealing with Baker Mayfield and his stuff. They said they're going to bring him back. So if that's really the case there, then I definitely will not be seeing them drafting the quarterback this year, although that's certainly a need that they have. Now, obviously, you got to throw the ball to someone, so they need a wide receiver here. So is this where Jamison Williams comes off the board, or do they take a different direction here? There's so many different directions that they could take at the receiving position right now. And with Garrett Wilson off the board being taken to Atlanta, that's probably the route that I would have went here at Cleveland. I'm going to go ahead and say that in the first round they take a guy like, Jamison Williams coming off of injuries and stuff, that would be a concern right there. Do they believe in Drake London? So let's compare the two receivers real quick before we make the final call there. But those are the two guys that I am comparing between right now. Okay. And so, so at the wide receiver position, and you cannot forget there's still a guy like Chris Olavey that's still on the board here. Matter of fact, let me just narrow it down to wide receivers here. And so I feel like any of the first five, you can't go wrong with those first five. It just depends on your preference for each. So let's see. Obviously, Jamison Williams, tore his ACL, national championship game, which was a big blow to them. Definitely, I feel like played a role in them losing, but he's firmly in the mix for receiver number one. And he is still the single best deep threat in the class. And so that's what you need right there, someone that can go deep. Of course, it's going to be Baker's job to get the ball to him deep, but that's an entirely different conversation right there. But he can certainly go deep. And so aside from him, another receiver, Chris Olave, you say you won't find a more polished receiver in this class. He may not be particularly dynamic, but he can get off the line and get open downfield. So a guy like Chris Olave, that's someone that, I'm considering him as well, possibly taking him right now. And then you got Dodson from Penn State, racked up over 1,100 yards, receiving 91 catches. And if they had probably a bigger quarterback, then he could have done more damage than that. He's only 5'11", 184 pounds, so size would be a concern. But as we've seen with other receivers, he's still got a lot of talent here, and so I expect big things from him. And speaking of size, though, if we went with Treylon Burks from Arkansas, he's 6'3", 225 pounds. With rare speed for that size, weapon with the ball in his hands there. Broke 15 tackles on 65 receptions in 2021. So with all that being said, though, I believe that we're going to go ahead and select. Let's go with – I really like Jamison Williams. I really do, but it's just a matter of does injuries come into play here. And so I'm going to go ahead and take Jamison Williams here for the Cleveland Browns. And so I believe that he's the best receiver on that board there personally. So I think that they go ahead and take that route. So Baltimore is on the clock here. So for the Baltimore Ravens, where do we begin? They got off to a hot start, but then they cooled off extremely cool there and somehow ended up missing the playoffs. So for the Baltimore Ravens, what are some things that we can say about them? According to Pro Football Focus, they can use a cornerback, safety, and defensive lineman. They say injuries made Baltimore secondary look worse than it should have been, but the unit still has room to improve. Obviously, you got guys like Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and then safety Chuck Clark played decent in his versatile role. And so let's see. So if we can get someone that can come in here, let's go back to the entire board. If we can get someone that can come in here, is this where Amar Gardner gets taken by the Baltimore Ravens here? Is this where we make that selection? Let's see. Or would a guy like Jordan Davis potentially be a selection here for the Baltimore Ravens here? They can use a D lineman, that is for sure. And a defensive lineman that can certainly help the secondary out. But Hmm. It's really for me going to come down to, do we take Gardner here, or do we take Jordan Davis here? And so Jordan Davis ranked 18th here on the board. Let's see. According to Pro Football Focus, they have him ranked 36. And they say that he's a one-trick pony, but it's an impressive trick. At 6'6", 360 pounds, defensive tackle will not be moved in the run game. And so I do like that for them. And we can get our first D lineman, true D lineman, taken off the board here. So I think we can take Jordan real quick off the, coming off the national championship. Yeah, let's go ahead and make the move here. Let's go ahead and do that. Although cornerback there, but they do have some solid cornerbacks already, and that can be focused on later in the draft. But to get a guy like Jordan Davis here, surprise, you get a guy that can come in here, because you think about Baltimore defenses historically and stuff like that. And so, yeah, having a guy in that middle of the defensive line right there that can come in and cause havoc right there, that can really help this defense out a lot, I feel. So, yeah, we'll take that direction. Now we have the Eagles on the clock, guys. Back-to-back picks. So that makes things a lot easier, guys. Back-to-back picks. So let's see. All right, so for Philly, let's see. All right, so they can use cornerback, linebacker, safety, and edge. They say several starters on the Eagles defense are slated to hit the free agency market. That includes some safeties, edge rushers, off-ball linebackers, and cornerback. And all these players, according to Pro Football Focus, grades were below 65 in 2021. So, yeah, they definitely need to work on defense. So, for sure, these picks right here will be going defensively right here. It's just a matter of who we're going to go ahead and draft. So, I feel like we'll go ahead and take Ahmad Gardner here from Cincinnati. So draft him, add a cornerback here, from Cincinnati. So looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out for them. And just to give some background on him. All right, let's see. Okay, so. All right, so yeah, Pro Football Focus had him ranked number 8th. And they're saying that yeah, he ever since they started back in 2014, they said that they've seen a more stingier season from a college corner. So that's high praise right there. He only allowed 20 catches from 40 targets for 131 yards in 14 games. When you're in a division where you have guys like Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, all that on one team. We don't know if Michael Gallup's going to be back or not next year, but still, even if he's not, they got a lot of depth there. Then there's Scary Terry down there in Washington. There's a lot of guys down there that you got to cover. So bringing a guy like this in for the Eagles, I feel like that would be a steal if they got him right there at the 15th pick. And so we're going to follow that up with going linebacker here. It's just a matter of which linebacker do we go with off the board there, Nakobe Dean or Devin Lloyd. I like both of these linebackers a lot. Devin Lloyd, he may not be the freak athlete that we've seen, in the past from a top 10 linebacker, but one of the most complete linebackers according to Pro Football Focus. Actually, what they say in their era, this past season he posted grades above 80 in the run game, coverage, and a pass rusher. That's something that you can certainly use right there. And we all know Nakobe Dean. He's got range of linebacker position is unparalleled in this draft class. He's not only straight line fast, but he's also processes and read with elite quickness. And so both of these guys are high prospects here. And so they've got Nakobe Dean ranked 15, but we're going to take Devin Lloyd here, draft him to the Eagles. So now you've got one heck of a linebacker. You've got one heck of a cornerback. And already this defense is looking a lot better already so far in this one. So now the Chargers. The Chargers are on the clock right now, and it's just a matter of, for them, they barely missed the playoffs. I guess you could say possibly that timeout might have iced them out the playoffs, but this is a team with a lot of talent here, so they're going to need to make sure they make the right choice there. According to Pro Football Focus, they can use another cornerback, defensive lineman, and receiver. Obviously, last year they drafted Asante Samuels Jr., and hey, that's a promising young cornerback right there, but the starting spot opposite him, they can certainly use to improve that for sure. And then, defensive line. This is where a guy like Jordan Davis, would have probably been perfect for a team like them. But obviously, I had him going to Baltimore there. So, they can use a receiver as well. They can go maybe receiver, add some more depth there. Obviously, they got two good receivers there. But aside from that, adding another third receiver, that's a route they could take. But I feel like right now is a good chance to take a cornerback off the board. And Andrew Booth Jr., he's going to be the guy to come in and take the assignment there. So we'll go ahead and have the Chargers taking their cornerback out of Clemson. And so just to give background on him. All right, so so for Andrew Booth Jr., they say he has the best combination of balance and ball skills in the draft class. A good combination for a cornerback. He picked off 5 of his 81 career targets and broke up 8 more. So, this would be a good addition there for the Chargers, especially in a division with Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, those guys. And so certainly not a bad pickup at all to help that defense in the secondary. Next up is the Saints. And so I can tell you right off the bat, Saints, they need some help offensively here. Let's see what direction they're going to end up going with, though. So let's see for the Saints. All right, so quarterback, offensive tackle, receiver, and safety. Those are the needs. And so looking at the board right here, is this where our guy Kenny Pickett gets taken off the board here? If I'm the Saints, I personally, do you believe in Jameis Winston and all like that? No, he got hurt and stuff like that. So you already got potentially him there. And so looking at the board, do you potentially go wide receiver? There's a lot of wide receivers here. And so I believe in Jameis's deep game. Obviously, turnovers are an issue, but if they can have a healthy Jameis Winston there, then that possibly could be good for them. But the Saints, they were bad at the quarterback position this year once he went down. And so obviously you have Taysom Hill and Ian Book, the only 2 quarterbacks up under contract there. Neither is showing anything in terms of the future there. So maybe you still do draft a quarterback. Is it enough to where you can move because it's going to come down to if Jameis Winston comes back. If Jameis comes back, then I think you go ahead and go receiver here. But they can use a quarterback. So if they're going to go quarterback, I think now is a chance to, because I'm either going to go quarterback or receivers, one of the two. And looking at the options that you have, for me, it's either going to be Kenny Pickett or it's going to be Desmond Ryder. Those are the 2 that we're going to be looking at right now. Let's take a good look at Desmond again. So, Desmond, according to Pro Football Focus, they got him ranked 23. On here, he's 53. But, again, a 4-year start at the helm. You're going to be going on to a new coach here. So why not go ahead and take a quarterback, even if you bring back a guy like Jameis Winston, which you probably don't. I mean, that injury, it did hurt and stuff like that. But Saints, they really can use a quarterback here. So I'm going to go ahead and give them Desmond Ryder at the quarterback position. All right, so here we go once again for the Eagles on the clock again. All right, so obviously we went out there, and defense has been the name of the game, guys. We are getting after it defensively. And so looking at some of the options that we do have here on the board, and let me just look again, see what other needs the Eagles could have. And so, all right, so for the Eagles, all right, so we got a corner, got a linebacker. Let's see, I don't see a safety that would be within range of us wanting to take. And so what about an edge rusher? And so we're not gonna reach right now for an edge rusher. So I think that now is a very good time. I mean, there's some good pieces up there. I mean, obviously, if you're the Eagles, though, you certainly want to make sure that you also do protect for Jalen Hurts out there. Oh, man, but just looking at how the board plays out here. Let's see. It may not be, we went defense the first 2 picks here. So maybe this is where you draft another wide receiver here, and let's stock up here. So We can go the direction of Traylon Burks, or we could go Drake London. Those are the two receivers I've got it nailed down to for these two teams here. But I think London, him racking up over 1,000 yards in 8 games before obviously his injury shut him down, but he has number one receiver type of traits, great size, ability to be aggressive and tight football against, physical tight coverage per football focus. And I really think that he played well with Devontae Smith. So if I'm the Eagles, go ahead and take Drake London right now. And so now you've got another receiver up there. You're feeling good. Pittsburgh, you just lost Ben Roethlisberger there. That's certainly a huge void right there. You need your quarterback of the future. You have a guy like Mason Rudolph that can come in there, hold it down right now. But for these two right here, I've got it narrowed down to really either Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis. Depends on if you believe in Malik Willis. But I don't think for Pittsburgh, that's the route you take it all. I think Kenny Pickett's the guy. Keep it in Pittsburgh there. And so don't make the same mistake you did with Dan Marino not drafting the quarterback out of Pitt. Let's go ahead this time. Secure your quarterback of the future there. He's going to have a ton of receiving weapons to work with. You may want to go ahead and work on that offensive line to help him out there. But, yeah, in this one, Pittsburgh gets their quarterback of the future, Kenny Pickett. All right, next up is the New England Patriots here. So for the Patriots last year, you went ahead and got your quarterback. And so now there are some good options on the board there. Do you go wide receiver? And if so, which wide receiver do you go with on the board? Or do you potentially go elsewhere? I think that first you look to try to get your receiver one. And so for me, if we're picking in the first round here, we're going to look at Traylon Burks. We're going to look at Chris Olavey, and we're going to look at Joe Dodson here and see which route we like. You could also potentially go cornerback, and so we will see which one. And so, all right, so let's see. All right, so we'll start down with Jaha Dodson from Penn State. Obviously, I mentioned before, over 1,100 yards receiving on 91 catches, and he still could have done better with a better quarterback, but his size is one thing at 5'11". I feel like the Patriots could use a receiver a little bit more size there, but Pro Football Focus has him ranked 26. Traylon Burks, he's ranked 28th on Pro Football Focus out of Arkansas, 6'3", 225 pounds, rare speed for his size. And so that's what Patriots need, a combination of speeds and size there. Broke 15 tackles on 65 receptions. And so this is a guy that I'm thinking that we may end up taking that route and take him based upon how the board is playing out right now. But let's take a look at Chris Olavey as well and see what's going on with him. Now, Pro Football Focus has him ranked 20th, and they're saying he's an extremely polished wide receiver in this draft class. May not be particularly dynamic, but he can get off the field and get open downfield. And so this is tough here between Traylon Burks and Chris Olavey at the receiver position. But I think ultimately now's a good time to go ahead and take – I'm really torn between the two here. I'm going to go ahead and say – I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Olavey here. So I think we go ahead and take Chris Olavey here. And so he can get open downfield for you now. And so I think that's the route we're going to go ahead and take here. So we'll take him. So as for the Raiders now, I think the Raiders certainly can use a wide receiver number one. And so since the Pats went Chris Olavey here, I think Traylon Burks is going to be the receiver here for the Raiders, someone that can come in there and really just be that receiver number one that they can use down there for the Raiders. That's what I got them going. So now the Arizona Cardinals. Let's look at the Arizona Cardinals and what they can certainly use here offensively. Cornerback, inside offensive lineman, and defensive lineman. So let's go ahead and get this board back. All right, so obviously a guy like Kyler Murray, you want to give him some time back there in the pocket. But, man, I mean, that secondary last year, especially at the cornerback, they had to play some guys, some fourth-round picks, slot corner Byron Murphy Jr., NFL journeyman Antonio Hamilton at outside corner this year. And that unit ranked 28th amongst 32 teams in outside cornerback groups. So obviously, cornerback is a position of need. And so here is where we're going to go Trent McDuffie out of Washington. I feel like he can come in there and be great for this team. So that's the guy I'm drafting for the Arizona Cardinals there. And so next up, the Dallas Cowboys. And let's see what they have for Dallas. Now, Dallas last year, they hit on a lot of their draft picks there. I mean, they knew the assignment. They went out there and they did it. And so Dallas could be eyeing a new off-ball linebacker to pair with their superstar, Micah Parsons. And then they've got a couple guys like Canu Neal and Leighton Vander Esch, who's going to be hitting the market potentially. And yeah, the team, does have Jabril Cox, a 2021 fourth-round pick, but the idea of, adding another linebacker, you can't pass on that. So if I'm the Cowboys right now, you telling me you can get Nakobe Dean right there at 24? Yeah, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that right there and help secure it and help improve that defense even more. And so with a pick like that, that defense just got even better right there. And so now Buffalo on the clock, the Buffalo Bills. And so let's see what the needs are for the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo can use a defensive lineman. They're saying another receiver there. I mean, Buffalo's got a lot of receivers as well, but I guess guys could hit the market and stuff. But according to Pro Football Focus, they say there aren't many holes on this Buffalo team, which has been one of the best NFL teams in the last couple of years. Getting deeper and younger at receiver would be wise, but the interior defensive line should be the main focus there. And so, yeah, so with that being said, though, this is perfect, This is perfect right there because DeMarvin Leal right here from Texas A&M, that would be perfect right here for Buffalo to add him to that defensive line there. And so we'll go ahead and take a look real quick on just to give you guys a recap of him. So give me 1 second to come across him. Okay. All right, so here we go. So Pro Football Focus has him graded 49th here. And they're saying that after an impressive sophomore campaign, he failed to break out as many had hoped in 2021. In fact, his overall grade went from 88.3 to 70.3 this past fall. And so something like that, obviously, he comes with some potential there, but helping him reach that potential, that's going to be key right there as well. So we'll keep that in mind there. But just let's narrow it down to D lineman real quick. And so another route we could go is, Trayvon Walker from the University of Georgia. Let's see. Okay, but yeah, I think personally though, the Marvin Lil, he is the best player on the board there. He's just shows that he can be even better than what he was last time. So we'll go ahead and take that route there for the Buffalo Bills there. And with this pick right there, you add another defensive lineman there. And so, that's good news for this Buffalo team. I'm sure that they would be happy to take him, especially at that spot. So now Tennessee is on the board, the Tennessee Titans here. And so obviously for Tennessee, they dealt with a lot of injuries. They traded for a guy like Julio Jones and, he got injured. It took a while before him and A.J. Brown got going. But when A.J. Brown did get going, though, he got going. But, yeah, let's see what needs they have here listed for the Tennessee Titans. Okay, so Tennessee, they have tight end, guard, and edge. And so looking at the board right now, let me go ahead and put this back to all the available players here. And so, yeah, looking at the board right now, if I'm Tennessee, yeah, so right now there is a chance that, I'm possibly considering Jermaine Johnson at that edge spot coming out of Florida State. That's the direction I'm probably leaning towards right now. Let's see. Because, yeah, being able to generate pressure, that is huge and stuff like that. That would be huge. So let's see what they say about him. Okay, so Jermaine. Okay, so yeah. According to the big board of Pro Football Focus, they have him ranked 43rd right now. And so he transferred from Georgia so he can actually get to see the field. And he pretty much, never came off the field there at Florida State. And he played 736 snaps this season. He's a hard-hitting setter who has edge rushing tools that can translate to the league per Pro Football Focus. So we'll go ahead and make this the pick here for the Tennessee Titans. And here you get that edge rusher that you need. And so Tampa Bay having just had Tom Brady retired and stuff like that, we know that quarterback is certainly a need right now. But if you're looking at the quarterback that's on the board right now, you've really got between two, maybe even three options on that board. Do you go Malik Willis? Do you believe in his potential? I don't think so. What about Sam Howell, though, from North Carolina? Let's see what else they have for listed for Tampa Bay's needs right now. So let's see. All right, so you've got wide receiver and defensive lineman, and so there's a lot of receivers to choose from still, So this might be where a guy like Dodson gets taken because I mean, quite frankly, Chris Godwin, no telling if he'll be back or not. You did lose AB, and so you can get a receiver right now. Obviously a quarterback is a need, but looking at the guys that's on the board right now, I probably would feel more better if we went that direction. They could go defensive lineman as well. Take a guy like Trayvon Walker. That's also something worth considering also here. So, I mean, got to think about this one. Um, I mean, you still have Mike Evans. They're going to try their best to keep Chris Godwin, and so depth is concerning. But you can get. I feel like you can get some depth. Wide receiver 3 later on in this draft. So getting a guy like Trayvon Walker to come in here at that defensive line, that may be the move there for the Buccaneers in round 1. And so there you go, defensive lineman Trayvon Walker from Georgia. All right, if you're the Packers, that's next here on the board here. And so obviously there's a couple guys here that I feel, like they won't be on that board this long. Obviously, like Kenyon Green, I feel like he'll already be off the board by now. But just how this has happened to play out this time, this is where it is. And so let's see, Green Bay. What are some needs they have for Green Bay? Okay, so all right, so for Green Bay, wide receiver and offensive lineman. And so how do you make Aaron Rodgers happy and want to hang around? You get him some help there, whether we're talking receiver, whether we're talking offensive line. And so and we do have an offensive tackle here that we could take Trevor Penning from Iowa from northern Iowa. That's one that I'm really looking at right now. Him. You could go Kenyon Green as well. Then again, you have Devontae Adams. He needs a new contract. So let's see what's going on at the wide receiver spot. So we could take Dodson here at wide receiver. We could take that route. So I'm going to go ahead for Green Bay and say that now is probably the time where you go ahead and just get you a right receiver here. I mean, there's no telling how long you're going to have Devontae Adams. So go ahead and get another receiver here. Draft that round 1. Jaha Dotson from Penn State. Now that would make Aaron Rodgers happy right there. You get him a weapon like that to work with. All right, so next up is the Miami Dolphins. So let's see what Miami's needs are. Okay, so the Miami Dolphins, they can go offensive line or receiver. They say they're committed to Tua Tagovailoa, so if that is the case, and that means there won't be a trade to acquire someone like Deshaun Watson. We'll see if that remains true. But the Dolphins' offensive line was the lowest graded unit in the NFL this past season. And so the only offensive lineman on the roster who didn't earn poor grades in 2021 was guard Robert Hunt. So we've got a couple routes we can go here, but we're going to definitely go offensive line. And so we're going to go ahead and take Kenyon Green here, inside offensive lineman there for the Dolphins. You got to keep Tua upright. He's fragile back there. So, yeah, I think that would be a good pick right there to take him at that spot. That would be a steal for the Dolphins if they can take him at that spot. And so next up is the Kansas City Chiefs. And so for Kansas City, you can go D-line, you can go receiver, or you can go cornerback. And so right now we've got Car Elam from Florida. That's a route that we're probably going to take cornerback position right there. So let's go ahead and draft him for Kansas City there and secure another cornerback here for this Chiefs defense. All right, so next up is the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, who will be playing in the Super Bowl at the moment of this video and stuff like that. So no telling if they'll have the last pick or if they'll be 31st there, but let's see what Cincinnati can use. Obviously, offensive line, that's going to be something we can go with, but let's see what other needs that they have here. And so, okay, so they have offensive line as a need. So we're going to take the best lineman here left, Trevor Penning, offensive tackle out of northern Iowa. We will draft him for the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, and next up is the Detroit Lions on the clock to finish out this first round. And so let's see what the Detroit Lions, a team that I'm sure has many needs, what direction they can go. All right, so cornerback, safety, quarterback, receiver, linebacker. Those are the 5 needs they're saying. And so they're saying things got bad last year for the Lions. when they moved Will Harris from safety to outside corner and were forced to pay 2021 undrafted corner. They did lose their starting cornerback for the entire year. No telling how he's going to be when he comes back. So if I'm Detroit, looking at the board right now, I'm probably thinking, I mean, cornerback and safety are both needs there, but I'll take Roger McCreary there in the first round out of Auburn, draft him. And so there you go. That is the draft right there. And so let's see if I can get this off the board there. And so there you guys have it. That is the draft that I have here for this team. So I'll go skim through it real quick. Jacksonville, Aiden Hutchinson. Lions, Kayvon, forgive me for not pronouncing his name there, but Theo DX out of Oregon. And then Houston, Evan Neal. And then for the Jets, to be able to get Kyle Hamilton and Derek Stingley Jr., that would be a nice combination of pair. For the Giants, getting 2 offensive linemen right here, that would moving forward, and not, but that was that offensive line right there.